The following program is brought to you by the League of Women Voters, Oakland area. The League of Women Voters is a national, nonpartisan organization established to encourage citizen participation in government. It never supports or opposes any political party or candidate. The statements and opinions of the candidates are presented in the interest of public service and in no way are to be construed as endorsement thereof by the League of Women Voters. The League of Women Voters takes no responsibility for any of the views or facts stated by the candidates.
All right, we are now starting portion number 2, our second portion, which is our supervisor candidates, and they are Mr. David Fleischer and Mr. Stephen Kaplan. So once again, we will begin the 1-minute opening statement with Mr. David Fleischer, followed by Mr. Stephen Kaplan. You may begin your opening statement.
Good evening, West Bloomfield. My name is David Fleischer. I'm a candidate for West Bloomfield Township Supervisor. Thank you for attending. Thank you, League of Women Voters. I'm a 36-year resident of West Bloomfield, a graduate of Wayne State University, a former licensed CPA and currently registered CPA. I am the former West Bloomfield Township Supervisor. My terms were from 2000 to 2008. I'm very proud of my accomplishments during those times. I believe that we need a change in leadership today. That's why I'm running. I'm asking you for your vote in the August 6th primary.
Thank you, Mr. Kaplan.
My wife and I have lived in West Bloomfield for 29 years, and we have 2 daughters who attended public schools, and they did very well. My wife and my 2 daughters are social workers, and I think that works out well for me because I need their help. I have served on this township board for, this is my 20th year, and it's a real honor to contribute to the community. And you'll hear various positions of mine and of the townships during the question and answer format. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now begin the question segment of our forum. Most questions will have a 1-minute time limit. We will begin with Mr. David Fleischer. And that question is, how can you implement moving forward with updating our master plan? This is a key document allowing for citizen input and should be updated every 5 years. The current is 2010.
You're correct. It is supposed to be updated every 5 years. While I was township supervisor, we did do that. What I think the master plan can be used for is to attract the types of businesses and types of housing that we want. If I'm elected, I'll work closely with the resources that are available, such as Oakland County Planning Division, SEMCOG, the governor's office. The state's spending a lot of money trying to bring people and businesses to Michigan, and I would collaborate with them. And I would always make sure that our master plan is current.
Thank you. Same question, Mr. Kaplan. Do you
Our
need
township has formed a committee of public and private regarding the master plan. The master plan has been very helpful to West Bloomfield. Now, we don't have a downtown like Birmingham, Ferndale, and Royal Oak, and we never will. But most people would agree that the area on Orchard Lake Road between 14 Mile and Maple has been substantially improved. It's attractive. There are new businesses. There's walking areas. There are mementos. And I think we can continue doing well with our master plan. We have fabulous staff in West Bloomfield. We're able to hire good people and keep them. And those individuals are pivotal in our master plan preparation and adoption.
Thank you. Mr. Kaplan, list your accomplishments in terms of protecting the environment and addressing climate change on behalf of West Bloomfield?
So the township has an environmental board consisting of 7 residents, and these individuals are fabulous. They're great additions, and they vote on various matters. We're known, if anything, West Bloomfield is criticized, at least among the 7 board members, for being too tough or rigorous when it comes to protecting the environment. But we have, as many know, we have 28 lakes in West Bloomfield. That's the second most in the United States. We have all kinds of wetlands, 5,000 different ponds and other waterways. And many people move to West Bloomfield or stay in West Bloomfield because they really appreciate the environmental treasures.
Thank you. Mr. Fleischer, same question. Do you need me to repeat it?
No, thank you.
Okay.
I'm very proud of my record as the supervisor. I'm very strong on environmental protection. One of the laws we passed was our fertilizer law, restricting how close you could put fertilizer to a lake. I believe my opponent also voted for that as well. I'm very proud of the fact that I instituted hazardous material collection days in 2001. We have kept hundreds of tons of chemicals and other contaminants out of landfills and out of our waterways. If I'm elected, I will be extremely strong. Global warming is real, and not that what we do here is going to solve it, but we can do our part. I just will say, reiterate, I'm very strong on environmental protection.
Thank you. Mr. Fleischer, how would you work to reduce the amount of trash households produce and increase recycling, not just at the curbside, but actual recycling? Statistically, most items put into recycle bins are not recycled.
Well, for one thing, styrofoam is not recyclable, and that's one of the longest lasting types of waste material. It never disintegrates. And currently, the only place to recycle styrofoam is in Troy at the soccer yard. I'd like to see more yards like that. There's also a yard in Novi. If you don't put your recycling in the curbside bin, you can take it there. But I'd like to see a recycling yard closer to us that takes styrofoam, takes everything. Possibly the public has been backsliding. I know we were strong on recycling for a long time. Maybe some education through this TV station, through the township, to get people to start recycling more. And to be sure that whoever our garbage company is isn't mixing the garbage in with the recycle.
Thank you. Mr. Kaplan, same question.
West Bloomfield Township is proud to feature and sponsor 4 events per year on Saturday mornings and Friday nights. We've separated the 2 events we have. These events, Fridays from 4 to 6, Saturday from 9 to noon. And we do take the recycling there. We take the paint cans, and we have many volunteers who help it with that. Now, one of the contributions I think the Township Board has made to the community, and I know we have several board members here who voted for it, is we now have a company called EMG. It's in Livonia on Schoolcraft and Merriman, and you could take your recyclables there at any time. And I forgot the other word. It was shredding. Shredding and recycling. My apologies. Couldn't come up with that word. Two separate shredding events. But for no cost to the township residents, they can, as many times as they want, they can take their recycling to EMG. This has helped the community, and well, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kaplan, would you work toward banning gas leaf blowers, which create noise and air pollution?
You raise an interesting question because this topic arose 2 days ago when Belinda Friss, who is a resident of West Bloomfield and served on our environmental commission and is a real activist, she proposed that. She sent a letter to all of us, and she said, what about the noise? What about the gas? And it's a very difficult matter to legislate because let's say we set a limit of 80 decibels. Well, right now that is the maximum. Hard to enforce because do we want police officers visiting areas with these counters to determine the level of noise? But that's something the board will look at, and it just shows that we are receptive at the township board level to ideas advanced by our residents. We don't have all the answers. We don't know everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fleischer, same question.
Banning the leaf blowers?
Yes, would you work toward banning gas leaf blowers, which create noise and air pollution?
I would want more information and input from the citizens, possibly even hold an open house. We used to have open houses on all kinds of different issues, but I would want to know what the people think. Just as there's as many as there are that want them banned, there are people that don't want them banned. I think ultimately it's going to be banned as the air quality and global warming gets worse. But my answer is I'd need more information before I could decide.
All right, thank you. Mr. Fleischer, what kind of legislation would you like to write for our city?
Well, one of the things I'd like to do is there was an additional millage was passed in 2011, about 2.25 mils. When the township fund balance was running out, the town hall employees were on 4 days a week. It was after the recession, all the foreclosures and bankruptcies. There was this additional supplemental millage was passed. It was supposed to be 10 years, one time only. After 8 years, it got folded in with another millage and renewed for 10 more years. I would like to repeal that supplemental millage. It's not needed. We have an extremely large fund balance, and I have the audit here, but I'm out of time to read from it. I would like to repeal that 2.25 mils.
Thank you. Mr. Kaplan, same question.
An example of an ordinance amendment, at the next meeting, July 15, we'll have an emergency matter on the agenda, and that has to do with tents. Can the township legislate against people sleeping, say, at town hall, outside town hall? With the Maccabi games coming up, there's a real concern that this is not against homeless people, this is not against poor people, this is not against mentally ill people, but can we, as a township, enforce rules if people are sleeping in front of the athletes and near the athletes? And so we have an emergency matter, and we might pass it. Now, we've tightened our environmental ordinances. I mean, we're a township. We're not a state where we have all kinds of power. We're very limited in terms of what we can do as a township because we're creatures of the legislature. But I can assure you that the township board does take seriously any opportunity it has through local legislation to improve the community.
Thank you. Mr. Kaplan, what is your vision for the West Bloomfield of the future?
Well, right now, we have a wonderful community. It's one of the best communities in the world in terms of our environmental features, in terms of affordable homes, livability, opportunity to find homes to stay here, and we're very fortunate. So I would say we're doing very well. It hasn't arisen yet, but in terms of public safety, it's one of the safest communities, and it's very important to the residents to know that within 4 minutes of calling 911, you will have a police officer and or firefighters at your door. So can we improve as a township? For sure. No township is perfect. Can the township board do better? Of course we can. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fleischer, same question.
Yes, two visions. One is what we physically want the township to be, what kind of buildings we want, what kind of homes, what types of businesses, what amenities. And as I stated in an earlier question, I would work with our partners, the county, the state, SEMCOG, to bring in what the people want. I'd have open houses. But the other vision is the kind of community we are as people. We are a multicultural township. We're very diverse. We have mostly have respect for each other. I'd like to keep it that way. We have a diversity task force. We have a clergy association. We have a lot of good things going on amongst ourselves and different types of people, and I would like to keep it that way and do whatever a supervisor can do to keep it that way.
Thank you. Mr. Fleischer, why are you the best person for this position?
I have the experience, I have the track record, I have a lot of enthusiasm, energy, I have extremely high ethics, and I'm very hardworking. I've accomplished a lot in my first 2 terms. Using the millage that the people gave us, we completed miles of bike paths, and using the millage the people gave us, we completed Fire Station Building 5 on Maple near Middle Belt. I like to say I get things done, and I'm very conscientious of the people's opinions. I listen to the people. I hear what they say.
Thank you. Mr. Kaplan?
Experience is essential. I've served 28 years as an elected official, having been elected 7 times, 8 years as a school board member, 12 years as a township trustee, 8 years as township supervisor. But I have a legal background, which is important to the community. Mr. Warshay, a trustee, also is a lawyer, but these issues arise where having another lawyer review it or understand it is important. But I've served for 26 years as an assistant prosecuting attorney, including 12 years in the homicide division, and in doing so, I help protect the public.
Thank you. Mr. Kaplan, how will you support the schools and children's programs?
Separate form of government, elected school board. We as township board members should not be intervening. Sure, we can offer advice. Sometimes they come to us. Sometimes we have joint programs. We have a fabulous school board. We're very lucky to have the 7 board members we do. And the superintendent, Dr. Bazzi, brought here from Ferndale. She's very innovative. But of course the township is interested in the schools doing well. If the schools are doing well, that means more people will want to live here or not move away from here. And we'll do whatever we can at the township board to help the schools.
Thank you. Mr. Fleischer, how will you support the schools and children's programs?
I'm involved in those programs right now. I've been a volunteer with West Bloomfield Youth Assistance and the West Bloomfield Community Coalition since about 2001. And those are programs to assist children. It is correct that we are separate. The township government is separate from the schools. However, we provide police protection to the schools. There are police officers permanently assigned to the schools, so we cooperate with them in that way. Schools, by state law, don't have to follow some of our township laws, like they don't have to come to the Planning Commission to get things approved. But we hope to have a collaborative relationship where they will consult with us and we are able to work together with them on buildings and other things like that, possibly share costs of expenses.
All right, thank you. Mr. Fleischer, my apologies. How would you work to keep a balanced budget?
I come from, prior to my government service, I come from the finance area of manufacturing. I was involved in metal stamping business, and I came up with the cost rates, the machine rates that were used in pricing the products. I'm budgeting and finance is just in my blood. I was very involved in the budgets every year in West Bloomfield. The way the process works is the budget director calls in every department head. They put down what they want, what they hope for, and then it gets whittled down to what we can afford. And I was involved in all those very closely. if I don't do anything else, I keep an eye on the budget, and I'm very protective of the people's funds and a good fiduciary of the people's funds.
Thank you. Mr. Kaplan, same question.
In my 19 and a half years serving the public on the township board, we always have adopted balanced budgets. In fact, it's so important to us to have the best budget director we can find. We poached Allison Brohe from Florida as our budget director. Now, our budget, it's balanced, of course, but we have a fund equity balance, rainy day fund, 45%, one of the highest in the United States. What does that mean to the public? It means if something goes awry, if suddenly there are costs that are needed to be paid for, we have the money there because we've been careful stewards. Same with the Water Utilities Department. We have sufficient funds set aside. In terms of our pensions, of course, are only provided now to police and fire and public safety, but we have some employees who were here before 2002, and those payments or those funds are there, 90% funded, so West Bloomfield residents do not have to worry that we're going to suddenly go into receivership or have to reduce staff.
Thank you, Mr. Kaplan. Mr. Flazier, same question. Do you need me to repeat it?
Please.
Thank you. The roads in West Bloomfield are a patchwork of public and private roads with many falling apart. What can the townships do to help the communities improve their roads?
I think as everybody watching knows, townships don't take care of the streets. We're under the road commission, and I'm not putting them down. They're stretched thin, but they get to us when they get to us. The option of changing to a city comes up sometimes, and there's upsides and downsides to that. The biggest downside is we would have higher taxes. But we do have another option. As a township of over 50,000, we do have the ability to take over our streets and still be a township. The only township in the whole state that does that is Bloomfield. And while I was supervisor, I spoke to their supervisor. He said they will never go back to the county since they took over their streets. So that would depend on the people. It would take a vote of the people, and it's an option. We'd get better and faster service, but it would cost us.
Thank you so much. And Mr. Kaplan?
As township supervisor, I care about what the public believes, what they wish, and I'm available. I'm there every day at my office, 7:30 to 5:30 at least, and I take phone calls, and among those phone calls there's a pothole in front of my house. It's in the street. It's a huge pothole. It's so big a person could fall in and die. What are you going to do about it? I could take the position, it's to call the road commission, but no. We've developed a good relationship with the road commission, so I can call the director, Dennis Kolar, and say, Dennis, help us out with this pothole. And literally, there are over 100 potholes have been filled because we made the effort to do that. Now, in terms of other issues on the roads, as township supervisor with the board's support, we were able to pave 3 roads, Green Road, Greer Road, and Pine Lake Road, who otherwise would not have been paved for the reasons that Mr. Fleischer said, because they're connector roads, we had those roads resurfaced, and they look really good, and the residents appreciate it.
Thank you very much. So that concludes the time for questions for the supervisor candidates. The candidates will now be given 1 minute to make a closing statement in reverse order of opening statements, beginning with Mr. Stephen Kaplan.
I am honored to serve as your township supervisor. I view it as a privilege and an honor and not a right. And in the past 7 years and 8 months, I believe I've worked hard. I'll continue to work hard. I'm a community-oriented person. I'm very positive. I'm involved in the hiring. We hire good people with good attitudes, and we've increased minority representation in terms of our employees, and we're very proud of that. We are a melting pot community, and our staff should reflect that. And in closing, I would say that whether you vote for me or Mr. Fleischer, I think you'll be well served. I worked with Mr. Fleischer for 4 years on the board and enjoyed that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fleischer?
Again, I'm David Fleischer. I'm running for Township Supervisor in the August 6th primary. As Mr. Kaplan said, I was also proud and honored to be your supervisor for 8 years. I believe I have the training, the knowledge, the experience, the compassion, and the desire and the energy to serve the people well, to make a positive contribution to West Bloomfield government, as well as the township itself. I'm asking for your vote on August 6th.
Thank you, candidates.